Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring Sky in our bottom left corner playing our red Zerg, and in the bottom right we have Mykal, our blue Protoss. Both players are in high diamond, low masters. This is on the ladder. We're on Tal'Darim altar, and this is a Zerg versus Protoss, so we're going to have fun. Just like this Overlord. He's been looking forward to this since the day he was created. He gets to go all the way over here, and he's scared about the gap, but it's going to be fun. He's going to check out this statue. He's going to get a postcard, send it home to mom, hop over this scary portion right here. He's afraid about Marines. He's heard about Marines before, heard about like campgrounds and stuff like that. But as soon as he makes it to the brush, take a leak, and then high ground, he'll be safe again, and then the base. And once he gets to the base, he doesn't quite know what he's going to do, but he's going to do something, and it's going to be awesome. Mykal is doing something himself. He's sending out a probe. He's going to be checking the top right corner, which unfortunately for him is not the spawning location of Sky. He has positioned a pylon near his natural, and just due to the fact that there is no ramp separating the main from the natural, the Forge Fast Expand is super common on this map, and it's very effective. I mean, close by air spawn for Mykal, so he's going to take that Forge Fast Expand and then take his own expansion and maybe go for some higher tech. Colossus can be a very successful drop play with, I've seen some fantastic play where you just hide a warp gate out in this little hidden area, and then you can pop in, deal some damage there, pop over here, pop in here, just do some massive damage there. Warp prisms are fantastic. They're very, very powerful, and I can't recommend them enough when you're playing Protoss. Unfortunately, Sky is not taking the added precaution of grabbing super early gas. He is going for a rather early expansion. He's taking that 14, 15, depending on which way you read the supply. Hatchery just grabbing his natural right before pool starting almost immediately afterwards. It's going to finish a couple of seconds before the hatchery, and maybe he'll be able to have two queens going at one time, evening up that larva inject. Unfortunately, the dual probes having to be pulled off by Mykal to actually manage to find Sky's expansion. Finally finding that hatchery. He's actually going to be hiding. Oh no, he's going to be throwing in a pylon. And remember, he's got that forge, so it's going to be a bit of a cannon, not really a rush. Oh, nice play here. Building a pylon on the low ground, and that should be able to throw up a dual photon cannon right here to make it so it's in both of the energy fields. So even though that one pylon goes down, the second pylon will be powering that photon cannon and will be able to hit it. Looks like a little bit more of an aggressive position for that photon cannon, using the mineral fields to defend that photon cannon, making it so that the AI doesn't allow those drones multiple hits, only one drone doing damage at a time, actually forcing the cancel, pulling back. A major win here for Mykal, especially if he manages to cancel any of these photon cannons, because the money lost. There goes one. Is he going to let the other ones finish? Only time will tell. It looks like he's bought enough time to take his own expansion. He's got 300, almost 400 minerals saved up, but he is a little bit, defenseless right now. He needs to complete that wall off. He needs to do something about these Zerglings pushing out. However, he has managed to keep Zerg very much on just one base for now. Because those, that one expansion went down, Zerg definitely wants two bases when dealing with Protoss, especially if the Forge Fast Expanding Protoss is going to have two photon cannons up at the main base. This gap is rather large, as is the one on the south side, so these Zerglings will have no issue running by them. However, they'll take massive amounts of damage as the photon cannon is just now finishing. These Zerglings hitting the forge are well within range, and they're actually going to be picked off completely by these photon cannons. A bit of a miss micro there by Sky, allowing all of them to go down, and in fact the resources lost tab is pretty heavily in Mykal's favor. However, that's going to be swinging back into the favor of Sky once these eventually go down. However, every second that these photon cannons are spending alive is time well spent, because they're denying an expansion at that natural, which is what Zerg desperately wants. Protoss desperately wants to finish this wall off, because they're very vulnerable right now, and they've spent a lot of money on that Nexus. A lot of money saved up for both players, actually, and they need to find some way to spend it. It looks like Sky is going to be countering with the inability to take his own third by grabbing an extractor, going to work on some of that gas. Maybe we're going to see a Roach Warren go down. Roaches are very effective against stationary and solitary photon cannons. However, they're kind of vulnerable right now. He doesn't have a good saturation on his expansion, 19/27 for the drones. He's wasted a lot of money on just fluff on some Zerglings that he's thrown away, on an expansion that he's thrown away, on a hatchery that's doing absolutely diddly right now. He's finally getting Queen and a single Overlord, not even a drone. He's got to start mining on that. He needs to ramp up, get his drone production up. On the other side of things, the Overlord is he's loving life. He's positioned himself right above this crystal. His dreams have come true. I did not see if he got the postcard, but you know, maybe he did. Maybe he did. And Sky's actually going to work on that harvester account, so he's equalized that number. 29 over 26 needs to get significantly higher, but I think as time goes on, as the 7 drones are going to be popping out, that drone count will be back in his favor, and his economy is going to be back up into full swing, especially with so much gas being taken in. I wonder what he's going to spend that on. Right now it's a Roach Warren as well as the metabolic boost, but you know, as time goes on, as he accumulates even more energy or gas, he's going to have to find something productive to spend that on. Probably going to be roaches, at least until he can take his 3rd. But then where is he going to go from there? He needs to do something about this wall off. He needs to do something about this expansion, and he needs to do something about this pesky Overlord, which is still floating over the Nexus. It's very inappropriate. He's flirting, and he needs to leave. It's embarrassing for everyone. Yeah, so there's that. Creep Spread's actually going top drawer. He's preparing very nicely to take his own expansion. 4 roaches on the way. That should be enough to 5, 6. Should be enough to batter down that photon cannon. But again, every second that Sky doesn't take that 3rd is a second that he's behind. Protoss is used to dealing with Zerg that's on 3 bases, let alone 2. And this is giving Mykal plenty of time to get up the tech he needs. He's got +1 that's being researched, and Chrono Boost, as well as the Warp Gate tech. He's not having to spend a bunch of money, Chrono Boost energy on his probes right now. He can afford to blow it all on tech. Doesn't have to spend it on getting out a bunch of units. Doesn't have to spend it on defending himself too much because Zerg is so far behind. Definitely set on kilter because of this sort of aggression from Mykal. Roaches doing their thing, taking out that photon cannon, also eliminating the high ground vision for this photon cannon on the low ground, so these roaches will be able to take them out completely. Only one of them suffering minor damage, and we can see that the resources lost tab is actually swinging back into his favor. I am so sorry that I missed our Overlord friend die. I will never forgive myself for that, but this Stalker definitely killed him. If time be it, we're going to go back at like 9:50, 9:45, and watch our Overlord friend die. But unfortunately, time presses on, and these 2 Stargates are being built by Mykal, so this is what he's going to do with all that gas. I was wondering, he's got 400 gas back at home. It's just quite a lot of gas, and it looks like Sky's actually worried about the Phoenix play, because he's moving out a great migration of his Overlords off into the high blue yonder. And that Overlord did not... Oh, it did scout him. That's awesome. Fantastic play by that Overlord. It probably turned around and tried to run whenever it was getting hit by that Stalker, and it managed to make it to that Stargate, scout out these 2 Stargates, 2 Void Rays on the way for both of them. And so that's going to be a lot of Void Rays, and those Void Rays are going to be very, very powerful against this mainly ground play coming out of Sky. He is finally managing to get his 3rd. It's on the way, and 2 gas is on the way, but that gas is going to be hitting too late. 2 Void Rays are popping out, and they're immediately replaced by 2 more Void Rays on the way, and we don't have any anti-air. Hydralisk Den on the way, as well as a couple of spores being thrown up to defend the home base, but each one of those spores costs a unit, and we've got 4 of them on the way, and those units are harvesters. Thank you for that word that I was looking for. And that harvester count is something that Sky's been desperately working towards, and unfortunately he's now seeing that already dwindle because he's having to throw so many away on the spores. They'll definitely pay dividends if they can hold off this coming Void Ray attack, because those Void Rays would equal quite a lot more negative drones than just the handful that he spent on anti-air. But already these Void Rays paying for themselves, taking out a Queen, and we'll go to work on some of these creep tumors. It looks like the Queen just barely surviving. Nope, barely going down. I thought maybe a transfuse was coming from the other one, but the 2 static spores in the area will push back the 2 weakened Void Rays. Oh, but they're clumping up with another 4. And what production do we see on the way from Sky? He's got 5 Hydralisks on the way, Groove Spine, that very nice upgrade for the Hydralisks, allowing them to engage these Void Rays just a little bit quicker. And we can see that the creep spread is actually pretty good. Those Hydralisks are still very slow when they're off that creep, and the creep spread is connecting the 2 bases, not really the natural to the 3rd and unfortunately there's not enough Hydras on the field currently to deal with these 4 Void Rays, focusing down the weakened Void Ray, the Roaches bundling up with the Hydralisks to provide just a little bit more of a buffer, but at the same time it looks like Mykal is pushing out with a primary ground army supported by a pylon off on the low ground. The Roaches and the Hydras are pouring in, a couple of Roaches out of position into the rear, allowing the Hydralisks to take too much damage. They're so very weak in this sort of matchup. All of a sudden the plethora of Void Rays arriving on the scene, focusing down the anti-air first. Even though all of the ground army from Mykal is going down, all of the anti-air from Sky has gone down, and these Void Rays have an absolute field day, just a literal barrel full of monkeys that they can fire away, deal a massive amount of damage to these Roaches. These Roaches do okay against this sort of base race when they're in the base of the opponent, and unfortunately that wall off is complete, and the ability for Mykal to re-warp in units to defend prevents Sky from pushing out and doing some sort of base race, especially with the DPS represented by this huge amount of Void Rays. 11 more Hydralisks on the way. Unfortunately, that's not going to be enough, I don't think, to save at least the natural. I mean, it really just depends on what type of surround Sky can get on all these Void Rays, but as time goes on we can see another one's being produced. There's so many on the field already. It looks like Sky is going to be pushing out with a small contingent of Zerglings, maybe going off into the top right to take out this Nexus, maybe poking down at the 3rd to take that out. But I don't think they're going to be able to do anything to this front door. It looks like the Hydralisks are exposing themselves. Nice play by Mykal, putting his Void Rays up on the high ground, preventing the vision of the Hydralisks, but the Hydralisks pushed a little bit far south and withdrew the Void Rays from their high ground. And it looks like they've gone down. They've taken a massive amount of damage. Those Hydralisks are so good against anti-air. Only 2 Void Rays remain, and it looks like the counterattack from Sky has proven to be surprisingly effective, taking out that expansion in the top right corner, as well as some pylons down in the bottom right. And finally, Mykal is pushed back. He's not doing nearly as much aggression. He's stopped his Void Ray production and is probably going to be switching off into something else. What type of upgrades does Mykal have? +1/+1, as well as the +1 shield on the way. Usually you see another weapons instead of the shield, but those shields will probably benefit the Void Rays too. So, I'm not 100% sure. He does have quite a lot of warp gates completed, so he's going to be switching to a more traditional ground-based army, but he does have those 2 Stargates back at home, so maybe we'll see some Phoenixes, do some harassment, maybe scout around, take out some of these Overlords. It looks like they're going to be waddling home now that the danger represented by those warp Stargates are done. Sky is going for a bit of a unit switch himself. Maybe he's aware that this ground force is the new threat. He doesn't have to worry too much about those Void Rays. We can see 1 Phoenix being produced, but no more Void Rays. So he's going to have to deal with a more Roach-heavy army. Those Hydralisks are going to be very effective at dealing some more damage, but Roaches are needed to deal with a force of this magnitude. And Mykal, it looks like he's going to be playing the aggressor once again. Zerg is not used to being contained on just 2 bases. He desperately wants to take this 3rd. He's also grabbing a 4th, but this is a land grab that will pay dividends if he manages to hold off this push from Protoss. But this is an intimidating force. I mean, look at all that energy on those sentries. They'll be able to cut the force from Sky in half, especially if he chooses his engagement properly. This is a nice choke here, much larger than the one to the right of the 3rd, and it doesn't look like Sky was expecting it. Here comes a bit of a staggered force from Mykal. The Zealots in the rear not doing nearly as much damage as you'd expect for them, since they need to be in the front to do their damage. There goes the force fields, cutting the Zerglings off from the rest of their force, but there's such a large force of Roaches in the rear. We can see the resources lost tab is actually pretty close together. It's still heavily in the favor of Mykal. When I say pretty close together, I mean not close at all, because numbers have meanings. Oh, but those Roaches absolutely getting cut to ribbons. I mean, look at all those force fields. Wave after wave of force fields, just cutting the Roaches up into nice little bite-sized clumps, and then the Stalkers with their added armor bonus going to town on them, even supported by a single Void Ray, which has 10 kills right now. And another wave of Zealots arriving. This 3rd is definitely going to go down. The hidden 4th, kind of hidden, will survive for the time being, but more likely Mykal's just going to turn his ire to the north and crush through that natural, which is one of the few resources generating facilities that Sky has right now. And Sky's definitely on his back foot. He needs to mass produce Roaches right now, and he does have the money, just doesn't have the gas. I think this is going to be game shortly, as long as Mykal can keep up this aggression. The Roaches doing one last hurrah. They're very cost-effective units, but only cost-effective whenever they're numerically the same or superior to their opponent. And right now, Sky has just been unable to muster a force large enough. Move command for those Roaches pouring in, trying to focus down the delicate sentries in the middle of the force. To no avail, though. That natural does go down. The main is left completely bare. It looks like the Overlords have decided to ram the Phoenix, and they're not 100% effective on that one. Sky tapping out like a classy gentleman that he is. I would be frustrated too. I mean, he just couldn't get a win from the very beginning. Mykal had him on the back foot with that harassment. He lost the third. He couldn't get the natural, but then finally got it and then lost it again. He never really had the aggressive stance that Zerg is known for. He needs that in order to win this type of force. He never got back that aggression. He never got back that position. And unfortunately, Mykal kept the aggression and he kept that position. It was neat. You guys are neat because you watch my replays. If you guys have a replay that you want me to watch or cast or whatever, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. And I do not forget, we're going all the way back, kids, to the 9-minute mark. Oh no, it allows me to go to the 8-minute mark or the 10-minute mark. So we're flipping over to the 8-minute mark, and we're going to fast forward ×4 to watch Sky, the Overlord, just die. And there goes the first shot, and that's exactly what happened. The Stalker came in on the left side, hit the Overlord, and made him kind of push back, but that pushed him into the waiting, loving arms of the 2 Stargates, allowing him to actually view that, Overlord, you are gone, but not forgotten. You will live on forever in our hearts. Yeah. So I am Big and Scary. I will see you guys later.